Hey everyone, and welcome to After Hours. Tonight we're going to be taking a look at the Really Fancy Feathers book. This was a book that Linda Taylor wrote, and there are so many really cool ideas in here. It takes a traditional feather and kind of modernizes it a little bit. This is an older book, but it still has so many amazing and relevant design capabilities in our quilting today. Another thing, as you can see, I am all by myself tonight. I gave Diana the night off. I gave Mom the night off. She's been working really hard, and I said, you know what, I've got it tonight. It's just going to be you and I, and we are going to have some freehand fun. So let's head over to our Nova machine and take a look at what we can do with this amazing book. Alrighty, so like I mentioned before, this is the Really Fancy Feathers book, and I'll just kind of flip through it real quick for you so you can get an idea. There's about 20 plus pages of different really cool feather designs in here. Now, we're going to be attempting together the one on page number 10 tonight, and with this one, what I'm looking at is the first thing that you notice when we do our book series with Designs with Lines. All of our books kind of have that little arrow to kind of show you which direction to take this. With these books, it's more of an implied idea of this is kind of the overall piece that you're getting with, and then you're going to break down this section. So I wanted to show you tonight, the reason I chose this book, how to break apart this feather and how to accomplish something that looks super complicated when really it's just learning the path that you need to take for it. So I'm going to set this over to the side. I'm going to use my Ultimate marking pencil, and I'm going to start kind of drafting out how this is going to work. So I want to start with a base, so somewhere, we'll say down there, it's kind of going to be my starting position. And I want to first start by giving myself a vein in the center of the feather. So right up the center of the feather here, where this little curly Q happens, and then back down. That first initial vein will then help me determine where I'll be placing these feathers on the outside and their sizing. So starting here, we're going to travel up. You can give it a little bit of a curl if you want to. A little bit of a curve, excuse me. Give it that little curly Q. Come back around and kind of ribbon it on the way back. So that's step one. So come up and give yourself that initial vein. Then from there, what you're going to do is go ahead and determine the size of your feathers. So we've stopped back here again. We're going to come in. We're going to do some big feathers for this one because we've got a lot of stuff to put in them. So we're doing some big feathers here. And back. And back. As we work. Move my machine a little bit as we work up this. You can make these as big or as small as you want, but if you're practicing and you're just getting started, the larger the feather, it's a little easier to kind of put in what you need to. So we've stopped right here with that last feather. You can travel back down the vein. Doesn't have to be perfect, just back down the vein. And then you would fill up your right hand side, or vice versa, depending on however you started. However you want to take this. Best thing about freehand, it's all completely up to you. It's all a design choice. And we'll throw one back there to hit the top of that little curly Q. That was different, but we're going to do it. So then we're going to curl back and then come back down through the vein. So we started the vein first, did the left side, came down, did the right side, came down. We're back here again. This was our start and our stop. I'm going to go ahead and add on the little bottom portions that it has right here at the bottom of this, so a little curly Q on the left and right. So I'll swing over here, curly Q, here, curly Q, and then swing down and give it that little extra piece that it has, and we're still starting and stopping right here. So I'm going to stitch all that out right now, and then we're going to come in and fill it in. So we're going to pull up our thread. Come down to our starting and stop point. Pull up our thread. I'm doing 12 stitches per inch tonight. Depending on your project, you might want to do tighter or more open, completely up to you. A couple of tie-offs here, and then we're going to get going with it. So travel up your vein first, And you don't have to stay directly on your drawing. That was just there for an idea. Curly Q back down. Now we're off to the left. And back in. Remember to make these nice and large if you're wanting to put stuff inside of them. Again, you don't have to follow directly on your chalk line. It was just there as a reference guide. Back down the vein. And now we're over to the right. Close that up just a little bit tighter. And I'm going to make these just a little bit larger than I drew them initially. Coming in. I think I'll skip that little tiny one and just add one right there. Okay. I'm going to pause this real quick and trim my threads so they're out of the way. Excuse me. Thank you. And then we keep stitching. So remember, we're going to do our little bottom curly Q's now. There's that one. The one on the left. And then the little tiny one right there. So that's our first initial process for this section. And now what we're going to do is start filling in the pieces. And I am going to give us a little bit of an adjustment on camera so you can see a little bit better. There we go. And then we get to start playing around with the other pieces of this. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pull up my thread real quick. Normally you would tie off and pull up your thread if you want to stop. For purposes of the video, I'm just going to move through that without the tie off step. Okay, so looking at the next portion that we have for our feather, we're going to be doing either the ones on the left or the right, completely up to you. I'm going to start on the left. We're going to put in the smaller feathers inside the plume, and then we're going to come in with the little kind of ribbon candy that's there, and then come out and do that again. So what I mean by that is we are going to, remember we stopped and started right here, so our machine is technically still right here, okay? And I'm going to come in and put those feathers in, and I'm just drawing them in. Remember to keep them tighter because you still have to put that ribbon candy in. So we're doing it here and here. That's going to be our last one. We're going to use the outside of this feather plume to do a little bit of overstitching, and then we're going to come back and do the feathers backwards. If you have, oh, those are a little larger than they need to be. That's okay. If you have an issue doing, or you're not comfortable doing feathers backwards from the way you normally are, travel back down this side and then do the ones on this side. It's no big deal. There's no rule book for this. You do it however you want to do it. Once we've gotten down to the bottom from doing that right side, come in a little bit, and then this will just be ribbon candy in this little space. And then you'll travel down the right side and start again. So for this one, I'm going to stitch it out that way, and then for the second one, I would do it like this again, so still putting in those feathers, and they don't have to be this small. You can space them out a little bit further if you want. So this is if you weren't feeling comfortable doing feathers backwards. Whenever you got up here, travel back down the left side, come up to this right side, and then put in your feathers right here. Right there. And then from there, if you wanted to, you could actually do your ribbon candy this way, all the way back, okay? And then start working up again. So we'll do those two different ways. Technically, machine was still right here. I'm gonna do a quick little tie off real quick. All right. And now we get to do feather. So these are our little tiny baby feathers. And remember, your chalk line was just a visual for you. If you want your feathers to be a little further apart, go ahead and do it. So this one is, we're going to travel, and then we're going to do our feathers backwards on the other side. That's that one. And then the second one, we'll look at it the other way. Okay, so we finish the feather there. You'll travel up a little bit, And you're going to put in your ribbon candy in this section right here. All the way up, and then you would travel down your right side. So that's that one. Another way you could take it is if you did the left side, all the way up, travel back down the left. Oh, that was a little off, that's okay. Now you do your right side. Now that that right side is done, you can travel back with your ribbon candy. You do whatever works better for you. I personally like the second way a little bit more. It's a little less overstitching. Not a ton, but a little less. And this one I'm going to go without my chalk line, see if I can do it without it. So travel up. And I'm going to do it that second way where I travel back on the left side. And then come and do the right side. This one I'm going to leave out the ribbon candy and I'm just going to do the feathers. Giving them something a little different to look at. Just like that. Okay, get rid of these threads. I'm going to move this out of the way temporarily. And we're going to look at putting another fun design in this feather right here. The thread will work with me. There you go. All right, so the next piece in this one is doing the peacock feather or the teardrop feather. So you're going to start in with a tiny little teardrop piece and then you're going to build on that. So you're going to start in with that teardrop, build one or two little builds on that, and then move to the next one and then work your way back. So we grab our pencil so we kind of get an idea of what we're doing. And I'm going to do a no-no. I'm going to trim my thread real quick. No one's watching, it's fine. And what I'm going to do is do 1, 2, 3, and then move up to the next one. 1, 2, 3. This one's going to have 4. And I'll do 1, 2, 3. This one will be 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm choosing that fourth one so I can easily get to the next one without having to travel through. If you only want to do 1 or 2, just kind of figure out which rhythm you want to take. That way you know what you're doing when you're going into the quilting part of it. And you're going to do that up the left side. You can travel down the right side or come down the left and then do the stuff on the right. So I'm going to come over here. Start down here, pull up my thread again. I did a little bit of a no-no, but that's okay. We won't tell anybody. Didn't trim my threads, but we'll be fine. Okay, so we're going to start the tiny little teardrop, 2, 3, 4, tiny teardrop, 3, and 4. You want to keep these nice and tight together because as you build on it, you kind of get loosey-goosey with your feathers. And you're echoing, and then it ends up taking over the whole feather sometimes. If that's the look you're going for, great, but if you're wanting it on both sides, the same idea, keep those little echoes back and forth really nice and tight and close to the design. This one, let's do one more, a little half one there. I'm going to travel back down this left side and then come up the right and then do the same thing. There we go. Echo, echo. There we go. You can easily fill in any spaces that you miss doing echoes like this. Just make those a little bit wider. And then come down. Again, it doesn't have to be 4 echoes every single time, or 3, or 2, or 5, or 6. It is completely up to you. I love the way that looks. Kind of looks like a tiger. It's completely up to you. It's your design. It's your choice. There's no rule book for this at all. You just have different ideas. All right, so we have that one. We can do that again up in here like the book shows. I'm going to do something a little wider in this one. I'm actually going to take over the whole feather on this one. There we go. There we go. Come back around one more time, and then put one over here. Just like that. I'm going to do a little extra on that one and come down. So that one definitely changes the texture look on it. You can completely have a different feather just by expanding out those echoes a little bit further as opposed to keeping them nice and tight around this section. Let's do one more. Let's take a look at putting something that's not even in the book. For this page, it's on the book, but it's not on the page. Let's travel down here. Yeah, let's travel down here. And we're going to put a little bit of a curly Q and back. Curly Q and back. Curly Q and back. Curly Q and then travel back down. So I am going to come down the vein of this. We're going to do our curly Q and back. Curly Q and back. Curly Q and back. Curly Q and back. All the way through. You can start back into that one on the next one too. This one's a fast, simple, easy one. You can change the spacing each time. Give the feather a little bit more interest when you do that. And let's do I want to do curly Q's again? No, I don't. I'm gonna do some backward stuff. There we go. Echoing all the way out this feather. As we go around this. Love the dimension that gives that one. Traveling down. We'll do that one again. We're doing that here, back and forth, all the way around. Now, the first part of these, they came from that page 10, and then I kind of started pulling other elements from the book, but you can see just having, even just this one book with all those designs and you put them into one feather, you can really change how this looks. Now this one I'm going to add in other feathers here. Just regular ones in there. And then last but not least, we'll come up here and let's do curly Q's up here to tie it all together. There we go. Curly Q, a little bit wider. Curly Q. Just like that. So that is a little bit of the really fancy feathers. We're going to take a look at some more of the fancy feather books in the coming weeks and into next year. But I just thought I wanted to show you that really cool to kind of get you inspired to finish off some of those Christmas quilts. So let's head back over to the set and say our goodbyes. Alrighty, back over here. So what'd you think? I absolutely love the Really Fancy Feathers book. There's also a regular Fancy Feathers, but wait, Really Fancy Feathers. There's so many ones that we are going to be able to take a look at here in the near future, like I just said. One note about the Ultimate Marking Pencil, if you do use it, remember it does iron off, so no worries if you're not hitting it exactly. If you use your iron on it, it'll disappear like nothing. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed tonight's video as much as I did. I will see you tomorrow morning for Good Morning LEQ. Bye.